This lesson is Solve Radical Equation Part 1. Here is our first example. I have square root 2x minus 3 equals 0. Make sure that the radical is by itself before we can solve. Make sure that this radical is by itself. So move the minus 3 over to the right side. That becomes positive 3. One more time. Move the negative 3 to the right side. So that becomes positive. Again, when you move a number or a letter, make sure it is opposite. So this is minus 3. Opposite is positive 3. Okay? Next, we want to get rid of this square root. So we're going to square. Square root and square will cancel. Also, if you do to one side, you must also do to the other side. So if you square on the left, you also have to square on the right. Okay, so this square root and this square will cancel out. I just have 2x minus 3. Square the 3 will give me the 9. Okay, next I want to solve for x, so bring the 3 over. Since this is minus 3, if I bring it over, it will become positive 3. 9 plus 3 gives me the 12. One more time. Bring the 3 over, that becomes positive 3. So 9 plus 3 gives me 12. I want x to be by itself, so divide by 2 to both sides. So I have x. 12 divided by 2 gives me 6. Okay, so this is the answer to our problem in the beginning. However, because we are solving radicals, we have to make sure that this answer is true. One more time, because we are solving radical equation, make sure that this answer where I am circling has to be true to the equation. So we put 6, so now we have to check and put 6 back into the original equations. Okay, so again, how do we know that x equals 6 is true? We have to take this 6, plug it back into the original equation. Wherever there's an x, you put 6 in to make sure that it's true or false. So here's my check. Here's the original equation. This used to be x right here. Right here, this used to be an x, so I plug 6 in. Where did I get this 6? It's from the left-hand side where I solve. Okay, again, where did I get this 6? This is from the solve. Now I want to make sure that this 6 is true or false. Okay, so plug the 6 in. 2 times 6 gives me 12. 12 subtract 3 gives me 9. Square root of 9 gives me this 3. Now this negative 3, I haven't done anything to it, so I just brought it straight down. So 3 subtract 3 gives me 0. And 0 equals 0 is true, so therefore this answer, x equals 6, it is true for this radical equation. One more time, make sure when you check your answer, if the check is true, then your answer is true. One more time. When you check your answer, if it's true, then x equals 6 is true. Okay? If the check is false, then this is not the answer. One more time. If the check is true, then x equals 6 is true. If the check is false, then x equals 6 is not the answer. Even though it is an answer, but it is not a true answer. Okay? Next example, similar situations. So I have square root 3 minus 3x minus 1 equal to x. Again, I want the square root to be by itself, so I bring the 1 over. Make sure to do the opposite. So negative become positive. And that's what I have here, 2x plus 1. Get rid of this square root by square it. So when you square, make sure also do to the other side as well. So this square root and this square go away. So I have left is 3 minus 3x. However, on the right side, when you square, make sure you square the whole thing. One more time. On the right side, when you square the whole thing. Okay? And this little tiny number means there are 2 x plus 1. So write out 2x plus 1 twice. Okay, so one more time, be careful. When you square the right side, make sure you square the whole thing. Okay, square the 2x plus 1, square the whole thing. Okay, and this 2 means you're going to write out 2 times, so 2x plus 1, and then write another one, 2x plus 1. So again, this 2 means write out twice. Okay, after that, multiply. 2x times 2x gives me 4x squared. 2x times 1 gives me this 2x. 1 times 2x is this 2x. 1 times 1 gives me this 1. Okay, next we combine like terms, so this part right here, 2x plus 2x gives me this 4x, because these two are positive, so 2 plus 2 gives me this 4. Okay, on the left side I didn't do anything to it, I just brought it straight down. Now I want all the numbers and letter on one side, so I move 3 minus 3x to the right side. And this is what I did. Since this is positive, if I move this positive over, it becomes -3. So -3 goes here, and then 1 subtract 3 gives me -2. This is 3x, so if I bring it over, it becomes positive 3x. So 4 plus 3x gives me the 7x. One more time. This is positive 3. Bring the 3 over, I put it here, which is -3. 1 subtract -3, -2. This is 3x. Since it's minus, bring this minus over here under the 4x. That become positive. So 4 plus 3 gives me 7x. One more time. This is plus 3. Bring this plus 3 over here under the 1, which will become -3. 1 minus 3 gives me -2. This is minus 3x. Bring it over under the 4, which will become positive 3x. 4 plus 3 gives me 7. Okay, so be very careful. Again, one more time. Positive 3. I brought it over to the 1. That becomes -3. 1 minus 3 gives me -2. This is -3x. Bring it over to the 4x. That becomes positive 3x. 4 plus 3x gives me 7x. 4 plus 3x gives me 7x. Okay. Now here you have a trinomial. This is my A. This is my B. This is my C. This is a trinomial A, B, C. So A is 4, B is 7, C is -2. So we need to factor this out to find my x. And that's what I did up here. So using my x, top AC, B is the bottom, which is 7. One more time. A is 4, B is 7, C is 2. I'm using the x method here. So top, A times C, and then down here is the B. So 4 times -2 gives me -8. This B is the 7, so B is down here. Okay, now 8. 8 has 1 times 8 is 8. 2 times 4 is also 8. So the only two combination that I have which give me 8. However, which one will work? Only 1 times 8. So I'm using 8 and 1. Also, I have to use positive and negative. And the reason is 8 times -1 gives me -8. 8 subtract 1 gives me positive 7. So be careful which one has a negative and which one has a positive. So 8 should be positive, 1 should be negative. Again, 8 times -1, -8. 8 subtract 1 gives me positive 7. So be careful which one of these will have a negative and which one of these have a positive. So be very careful of that. Next, we want to know what x is. So we have 8 and we have -1. However, our a is not 1. Our a is 4. So if we go back here, a is not 1. Since a is not 1, we have to divide by a. Okay, so one more time. Our a is not 1. How do I know that? It's from here. This is my a. A is right here. That's not a 1. it is other number. So you have to divide by a. Whatever a is, you divide by a. So in our case, a is 4, so we have to divide by 4. So 8 divided by 4, that's what I have here. And then -1 divided by 4, that's what I have here. Okay, so again, if a is not 1, you have to divide by a, whatever a is. Okay, so again, 8 divided by 4, -1 divided by 4. Okay, next, if you can reduce, reduce. If you cannot, leave it alone. So 8 divided by 4 gives me the 2. This right here, -1/4, it's already reduced, so I leave it alone. Again, reduce if you can. If you cannot reduce, leave it alone. So 8 divided by 4 gives me 2. 1/4 is already reduced. So after that, make sure you opposite of it. So 2 becomes -2, -1/4 becomes +1/4. Again, make sure you opposite. So this is our answer, -2 and +1/4. One more time, this is our answer, -2 and +1/4. However, we have to check which one of these is true and which one of these is false. Okay, so we have to check each answer. So let's do the -2 first and then the 1/4. Okay, so when you check, plug these value back into the original equation here. One more time. Take -2, wherever there's an x, you put it here and here. Same thing, the 1/4, put it here and also here. But you have to do one at a time. Okay, do one at a time for each answer. Okay, so this is what I have. Here's my check. So here's the original equations. This part right here was an x. This part right here was an x. So put -2 in and put the -2 in right here because this was an x and this was an x. Now do order of operation. -3 times -2 gives me +6. And then 3 plus 6 gives me 9. Square root 9 gives me 3. Bring down the 1 all the way down. 3 subtract 1 gives me 2. Over here on the right side, 2 times -2 gives me -4. So I just bring it straight down, all the way down. And you know for a fact that 2 cannot equal -4. So this is false. So -2 is false. One more time. -2 is false. So we cannot use -2 as our answer. Even though we have an answer, but -2 is false, so we cannot use -2. Okay, again, we checked that -2 came out to be false, so we cannot use -2 as our answer. Okay, so this one right here, the -2, we throw it away. Now we go to the +1/4. Where did I get the 1/4? From here. Okay, right here, this is where I got the 1/4. So plug it in. This right here used to be the x. This right here used to be an x. So just plug it in. So bring down the 3. 3 times 1 gives me 3, and so it's 3/4. One more time. 3 times 1 gives me 3, so 3/4. Same thing over here. 2 times 1 gives me 2/4. Okay, so just multiply across. 3 times 1 gives me this 3/4. 2 times 1 gives me this 2/4. Now here's my adding and subtracting fractions right here. So I did it on the side. So 3/1 subtract 3/4. So this part right here, I did it on the side. So cross multiply. So 3 starting from the left. 3 times 4 gives me 12. Bring down the minus. Now let's do the right. 3 times 1 gives me this 3. Now under multiply. 1 times 4 gives me this 4. And then the top we just subtract. So 12 subtract 3 gives me this 9. So 9/4. So I replace this right here where I am circling by 9/4. Where did I get the 9/4? From the side that I did. Okay, so 9/4 minus 1, 1/2. Now the 2/4, I reduce it down to 1/2. Okay, next I want to get rid of this square root. So square root 9 right here. Square root 9 will gives me this 3. Square root 4 will gives me this 2. One more time. Square root 9 gives me this 3. Square root 4 gives me this 2. Bring down the -1, bring down the 1 over 2. Again, where did I get the 9/4? Because it came from here. 3 subtract 3/4. I did the work on the side and becomes 9/4. Okay, so I just replaced this by 9/4. And then square root 9 gives me this 3. Square root 4 gives me this 2. Okay, so be very careful. Next, we still have adding and subtracting fractions right here. 3 over 2 subtract 1. So here's my work on the side. 3 over 2 subtract 1. So this right here, here's the work from the side. So start from the left. 3 subtract 3 times 1 gives me 3. Don't forget the minus. And then on the right side, 1 times 2 gives me this 2. Under multiply, 2 times 1 gives me 2. Now just add the top only. Add, subtract the top. 3 subtract 2 gives me this 1. So 1 over 2. So this right here, 3 over 2 subtract 1 is 1 over 2. And as you can see, the left is the same as the right, so it is true. So 1/4 is our solutions. Since when we check 1/4, it came out to be true. Since it is true, then 1/4 is our solutions. I'm going to go back. Same thing on this side. When I check -2, it came out to be false. Since it is false, -2 is not our answer. And I checked 1/4. 1/4 came out to be true, so therefore 1/4 is our solution. So out of two answers, -2 and 1/4, the only one that is a true solution is 1/4. And that's what I wrote here. Only x 1 over 4 is the solution. Why? Because when I checked, 1/4 came out to be true. When I checked -2, it came out to be false. Okay, so be very careful. So again, this is our problem. We have two answers, but the only one that works is the 1/4. Okay, so be very careful. Make sure you check your answer. Even though you have two answers, but you only take the one that is true, and the false, you throw it away. Okay, so again, 1/4 is the answer to the original problem here. Okay, again, 1/4 is the only answer to this equation. The -2 doesn't work, so we throw it away. So make sure you check your answer and be very careful. Okay.